if I get her out of the way for 10 minutes so that you might have an opportunity for proposing to Gwendolyn, may I dine with you at Willis's tonight?
If you want to.
Well, yes, but you must be serious about it. I hate people who aren't serious about meals. It's so shallow of them.
Lady Bracknell and Miss Fairfax.
Good afternoon, dear Algernon. I hope you're behaving very well.
I'm feeling very well, Uncle Gosler.
They're not quite the same thing. In fact, the two things rarely go together.
Oh my, you are smart.
But I am always smart, am I not, Mr. Worthing?
You are quite perfect, Miss Fairfax.
Oh, I hope I am not that. It will leave no room for developments. And I intend to develop in many directions.
I'm sorry for a bit late. I was obliged to call upon dear Lady Harbury. I had not been there since her poor husband's death. I never saw a woman so altered. She looked quite 20 years younger. Now, I'll have a cup of tea and one of those nice cucumber sandwiches you promised me.
Oh, of course, Aunt Gosler.
Won't you come and sit here, Gwendolyn?
Thanks, Mamma. I'm perfectly fine where I am.
Good heavens. Lane! Lane, why are there no cucumber sandwiches? I ordered them specially.
There were no cucumbers in the market this morning.
No cucumbers?
No, not even for ready money.
Thank you, Lane. That would be all.
Thank you, sir.
I'm terribly sorry, Aunt Augusta, about there being no cucumbers.
It really makes no matter, Algernon. I had some crumpets with Lady Harbury, who seems to be living entirely for pleasure now.
Yes, I hear her hair has turned quite gold from grief.
Thank you. Her hair has certainly changed colours. For what cause, I of course cannot say. I have a delightful treat for you tonight, Algernon. I'm sending you down with Mary Farquhar. She's such a nice lady and so attentive to her husband. She's a delight to watch them.
I'm afraid I shall be denied the pleasure of dining with you this evening after all.
Well, I hope not, Algernon. It would put my table entirely out. Your poor uncle would have to dine upstairs. Fortunately, he's grown quite accustomed to that.
Well, it is a great bore, and I needn't say a terrible disappointment to me, but, well, I've just had a telegram to tell me that my dear friend, Mr. Bunbury, is ill again. They seem to think I should be with him.
Very strange. This Mr. Bunbury seems to suffer curiously bad health.
Oh, yes. Mr. Bunbury is a dreadful invalid.
I think it is high time, Algernon, that Mr. Bunbury made up his mind if he's going to live or to die. This shilly-shallying about the question is absurd, nor do I in any way approve of the modern sympathies with invalids. Illness of any kind is hardly a thing to be considered in others. Health is the primary duty of life. I'm always telling that to your poor uncle, but he never seemed to take much notice in as far as improvement in his own ailments go. I'd be much obliged, Algernon, if you would ask Mr. Bunbury from me not to have a relapse on Saturday. For I rely upon you to arrange my music. It is my last reception, and one wants something to encourage conversation. Particularly at the end of the season, when everyone has practically said everything they have to say. Which in most cases was probably not much.
Well, I'll speak to Mr. Bunbury, Aunt Augusta, if he's conscious, but I think I can promise he'll be better by Saturday. Of course, the music is a great difficulty. If one plays good music, people don't listen, and if one plays bad music, people don't talk. But I'll be happy to go over the program I've drawn out if you'll kindly step in the other room for a moment.
Thank you, Algernon. Most thoughtful of you. I'm sure the program will be delightful, with a few expurgations. French songs I cannot possibly allow. People always seem to think they're improper and either look shocked, which is vulgar, or laugh, which is worse. But German sounds to be a perfectly respectable language, and indeed I believe it is so. Gwendolyn, you will accompany me?
Certainly, Mamma. I hope you are always looking just like that. especially when there are other people present.
Mr. Worthing, rise, sir, from that semi-recumbent posture. It is most indecorous.
Mamma, I must beg you to retire. This is no place for you. Besides, Mr. Worthing is not quite finished yet.
Finished what, may I ask?
I am engaged to be married to Mr. Worthing, Mamma.
Pardon me, but you are not engaged to anyone. When you do become engaged to someone, either I or your father, should as help permit him, will inform you of the fact. Marriage should be put upon a girl as a surprise, either pleasant or unpleasant, as the case may be. There's hardly a thing she could be allowed to conduct for herself. Now, Mr. Worthing, I have some questions to put to you. While I'm making these inquiries, Gwendolen, you may wait for me below in the carriage.
Mamma!
In the carriage, Gwendolen.
Yes, Mamma.
Gwendolen! The carriage! You may take a seat, Mr. Worthing.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell. I prefer standing.
I feel bound to tell you you are not on my list of eligible young men, though I have the same list as the dear Duchess of Bolton has. We work together, in fact. I am quite ready to enter your name, however, should your answers be what a truly affectionate mother requires. Do you smoke?
Yes, I must admit I smoke.
Glad to hear it. Man should always have an occupation of some kind. There are far too many idle men in London as it is. How old are you?
29.
A very good age to be married at. I have always been of the opinion, Mr. Worthing, that a man desiring to be married should know either everything or nothing. Which do you know?
I know nothing, Lady Bracknell.
I am pleased to hear it. I do not approve of anything that tampers with natural ignorance. Ignorance is a delicate, exotic fruit. Touch it, and the bloom is gone. The whole theory of modern education is radically unsound. Fortunately, in England, at any rate, education produces no effect whatsoever. What is your income?
Between 7,000 and 8,000 a year.
In land or in bed?
Investments chiefly.
That is satisfactory. What with the duties expected of one during one's lifetime, and the duties extracted from one after one's death, land ceases to be either a pleasure or a profit. It gives one position and prevents one from keeping it up. But that is all that can be said about land.
Well, I do have a country home with some land, of course, attached. About 1,500 acres. But I don't depend on it for my real income. Actually, as far as I can tell, the poachers are the only ones who get anything out of it.
A country house. How many bedrooms? Well, that point can be seen to afterwards. You do have a townhouse, I hope. A girl of the sweet, unspoiled nature, such as Gwendolen, could hardly be expected to live in the country.
Well, I own a home in Belgrave Square, but it's let by the year to Lady Bloxham. Of course, I can get it back whenever I like, at 6 months' notice.
Lady Bloxham, I don't know her.
She goes out very little. She is a woman of considerably advanced years.
But nowadays that is no guarantee of respectability of character. Which number, Belgrave Square?
149.
The unfashionable side. I knew there was something, but that could easily be altered.
The fashion or the side?
Both. If necessary, I presume. What are your politics?
I'm afraid I have none. I'm a liberal unionist.
They count as Tories. They dine with us, or come in the evening at any rate. Now, on to minor matters. Are your parents living?
I'm afraid I've lost both my parents.
To lose one parent, Mr. Worthing, may be regarded as misfortune. To lose both looks like carelessness. Who was your father? He was evidently a man of some wealth. Was he born to what the paper call the purple of commerce? Or did he rise from the aristocracy?
I am afraid I don't know. I said I had lost my parents, but it would be closer to the truth to say that my parents seem to have lost me. I don't know who I am by birth. I was found.
Found?
Yes. Old Mr. Thomas Cardew, a gentleman of charitable nature, found me and gave me the name Worthing, for he had a ticket to Worthing in his pocket at the time. Worthing, it's a seaside resort near Sussex.
And where did this charitable gentleman who had a ticket for a seaside resort find you?
In a handbag.
A handbag?
Yes, a large black leather handbag with handles on it. Actually, perfectly ordinary handbag.
And where did this Mr. James or Thomas Cardew find this ordinary handbag?
The cloakroom. Victoria Station.
Cloakroom? Victoria Station?
Yes, the Brighton line.
The line is immaterial. Mr. Worthing, I must confess to being somewhat bewildered by what you have just told me. To be born, or at any rate bred in a handbag, whether it had handles or not, seems to me to betray a contempt for the ordinary decencies of family life, and reminds one of the worst excesses of the French Revolution. And I presume you know what that unfortunate movement led to. As to the particular locality in which the handbag was found, a cloakroom in a railway station might serve to conceal a social indiscretion. Has probably indeed been used for that purpose before now. But it can hardly be said to be an assured basis for a recognized position in good society.
I would ask you to advise me to do. I need not say that I would do anything to ensure Gwendolyn's happiness.
I would strongly advise you, Mr. Worthing, to try and acquire some relations as quickly as possible, and to make every attempt to produce, at any rate, one parent of either sex before the season is quite over.
I don't know how I could possibly do that. I could at any moment produce the handbag. It's in my dressing room back home. I think that should satisfy you, Lady Bracknell.
Me, sir? What has it to do with me, sir? You can hardly imagine that I, or Lord Bracknell, would allow our only daughter, a girl brought up with utmost care, to marry into a cloakroom and form an alliance with a parcel. Today, Mr. Worthing,